After a rough first few games, I think the Portland Trailblazers are finally figuring it out, and I think this is going to be the year that Damian Lillard finally wins an MVP trophy. So let's talk about this, and I want to hear your comments down below. Do you think the Portland Trailblazers are a playoff team, and do you think Damian Lillard will win the MVP? And let's get into today's conversation. They just beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, which isn't really super competitive. They're 2-6. The Timberwolves, the Trailblazers are 4-4. And something I do want to say about this team that I am really impressed as things have started to come together, because I think in the first couple games the problem was they didn't know who was going to be the the ball handler when Lillard was off the floor and CJ was off the floor. They were still trying to figure that out, and I think they're going with our man. Not Gary Trent's been asked a lot off the bench, but I'm not saying he's the primary ball handler, but they're asking Anthony Simons at times to do the same thing. So it's been very interesting to see how they've been able to score without Lillard on the floor, and it's been through a combination of CJ McCollum, Gary Trent Jr., Carmelo Anthony, Rodney Hood, occasionally Anthony Simons sprinkled into there, and I really like it, and it's really fun. The guy I first want to talk about is Nazir Little. Is it safe to say Nazir Little is a bust? The 6'5", 7'2" wingspaned power forward is, I know it's kind of this first time he was on the court since March, and I'm a fan of his. I think he has a lot of ability to be a really good defender and to be a similar player as kind of what Keldon Johnson's doing. Not like similar play styles, but Keldon Johnson's a small forward, power forward, and I think that's what Nazir Little is. So it's interesting to see him come back on the court. I know he only played 8 minutes, but hopefully this year he can shed off any regression or labels of a bust that people may have. But let's talk about Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, yeah, he's shooting 38% from three, which you could argue is down from last year's 40%. But man, 38%. He's averaging 27 points. His stats aren't really that high for his career. Only thing you could argue is that he's doing worse in assists. But I think Damian Lillard's actually going to be carrying this team more than any other team. You could argue Nikola Jokic is going to have to carry the Nuggets, and you could argue Joel Embiid could be MVP. But Damian Lillard, if anybody's going to have to do a major carry job, because CJ McCollum is a borderline all-star, but he's closer to not being an all-star than actually being an all-star. And it's nothing against CJ McCollum. It's just I feel like CJ McCollum definitely will fall off sooner rather than later. And it's not that I hope for that. I really do hope that he has a long and fruitful career. But if we're talking about a guy who, this is his 6th year pretty much being the starter for the Portland Trailblazers, and he's continuing pretty much. CJ McCollum might actually be an all-star. I didn't know he was playing this good. And CJ McCollum's actually having a great start to his year. 43% from three, 4 rebounds, 5.5 assists, a steal and a half a game, and a half block game, which is awesome for CJ. I didn't know he was having this great of a year. And I was honestly about to go on a rant that they might have to trade CJ McCollum, but it's looking like CJ, he's always been a lethal scorer. That's something I've observed, and I'll admit, CJ McCollum might have taken the next step to becoming an even more lethal scorer. I was going to go on a rant about them needing to trade CJ McCollum if they ever want to, if they want to continue after the season being true contenders, because I do believe that if they want to keep Damian Lillard, first off, this is really good that CJ is having a really good start to the year, because if they do want to continue building a championship team, they're going to have to decide whether or not to keep CJ after this season. CJ will be turning 30 years old in September. And if I'm the Trailblazers, I would try to flip him into picks and maybe a starting level small forward or a shooting guard or power forward, because you have the center down and you have the point guard position down. Just lock up Josef Nurkic and Damian Lillard for the next few years, and then you don't have to worry about having to replace what if CJ falls off? Because I feel like CJ is going to fall off before Damian Lillard. It's nothing against CJ. If the two had to fall off first, I'm putting my money on CJ, and I would trade him before he loses value, in my opinion. Derrick Jones Jr. has low-key been a really good addition for them. He's having a career high on the defensive side. Literally averages a steal and a half every single game. Past 2 games, he's had 4 steals combined. And he's shooting 28% from 3, but the thing is the fact that he has the willingness to shoot threes, I think, is the most important thing. And I think as the season progresses, he'll get his field goal percentage back up higher. I think it's just a little lower because the amount of threes he's taking, which is a lot more than he has ever before in his career, which is awesome. Jusuf Nurkic is back. I love this cat. I think he's so good. And I know he's not averaging a double-double, but his percentages are good, and he's just getting back into rhythm this year. So I wouldn't put anything against him. Harry Giles is an interesting pickup because they have Enes Kanter, and it's kind of like Harry Giles is Enes Kanter, but not as good as a scorer, but could be a better rebounder and defender than Enes Kanter. But right now, Enes Kanter is the better player. But I really like Harry Giles because he could replace either Jusuf Nurkic down the road or our man Enes Kanter. I mean, Enes Kanter is great, and I'm happy that he's back there because he really seems like he enjoys playing for the Portland Trailblazers. And I know you could technically say Enes Kanter's a bust, but it's good to see that he's carving out a career and as a really good, just quality backup center guy who gives you quality minutes, will get you quality boards. It's crazy to think about years ago when he was on the Jazz, he wasn't really a rebounder. And then when he went to the Thunder, he kind of found his way in rebounding, and then he lost his way in rebounding. And it's wild to think about also is during those 26 games for the Thunder in 2014, he averaged 18 and 11 with shooting 75% from 3. I know he barely took any threes. I just think, isn't that kind of absurd to imagine Enes Kanter doing that? But no, I think they're going to make the playoffs. And I think it's going to be interesting due to the fact that it's honestly going to be an interesting team. But this is the end of the video, guys. I tried making a really good video yesterday, and it didn't get many views. So we're going back to the commentaries because that's what it seems like you guys like is the commentaries. So commentaries forever and ever and ever. Let me hear your comments down below. Hit that like and subscribe button, guys. But that's it from me today, guys. I hope you guys do have a great day because I know I will. Till next time, guys. Peace out.